record my very first... Hey YouTube, I would like to record my very first video with audio commentary. I hope you like it. So what I want to go through today is the cast on crit Gemling, which is a very powerful build. Unfortunately, it's super expensive. I got the draft from this build from Dead Rabbit. He's a German streamer. And I kind of took this idea because I dropped a mirror. So yeah, it was my very first mirror. To disclaim, it's very hard to drop a mirror. You won't most likely won't never see one. But this season I actually got lucky and got one. So I already had a really good monk build that was working with Falling Thunder and was quite good. But in the end I struggled with Expedition. So Expedition creates the hardest monsters in the whole season if you do it right. And the monk has one big issue in my opinion, and the issue is I didn't find a good way to mitigate freeze and slow down. So what happened when the expeditions got really juiced up was my monk was just performing super slow, and because of that sometimes dying. Yeah, but still I dropped the mirror with the monk, so I thought, okay, maybe we go ahead and take another build. And I saw that rabbit rocking his cast on Gemling build, and I was thinking maybe this is a good plan to actually get expedition running. And I have to say, I went through the upgrade chain, so I did not have the +9 fork in the beginning. What I had was the 5-slot runic fork, and this will only give you +3 level of skills or +6 level of skills, dependent if you are willing to socket Legacy of Lifesprig. Legacy of Lifesprig is quite expensive, so it is debatable if you really want to socket it into a 5-slot rune because the fork is almost as expensive as the rune, and you will most likely not get the value back when you try to sell it. So I decided to not go for the Legacy of Lifesprig within my 5 rune slot runic fork, and thus I was missing 6 levels to my spell skills. And this is actually was breaking the build. So and at least when we come to expedition. So the build is super powerful. You can clear any content, no problem, even with the 5-slot runic fork. But when you take the juiced expedition, you really need the damage. It's actually hard to get the full damage online. I kind of was successful with that. So I'm about at 80% of the damage that rabbit has. So if we just have a quick look at my tooltip, we can see that my Spark has 518k in Hideout, and this is with Headhunter socketed. You do take Headhunter for a farming expedition. You do not take Mage Blood because the stacks you get, the Headhunter buffs are just necessary and also way more powerful in the long run than the Mage Blood. Still, if I socket the Mage Blood, that's what I would do if I just go on normal content. You can see Spark is going up to 600k base damage, which is quite a lot. It's not the most insane damage in the world, but it is actually sufficient to clear the content that we are gonna look at. So let me socket back Headhunter in and have a look at a full expedition map and see how it goes. As I said, the build is super expensive. I'm not recommending to go for this build if you do not have the funds. Going for a plan like a mediocre version of this build sucks because you do not get the damage online for expedition. I mean, if you never plan to farm expedition, that's fine, but I did this build specifically to farm expedition. Just to give you an example, this amulet alone does cost quite a fortune. I will take out the allocate paragon, just see what the base is like, and you see it costs a lot of money. Same goes for the gloves. These gloves are also super expensive. When I take all the notes that are irrelevant, you can see they will get a little bit cheaper if you like say, okay, I don't need the rarity, that's fine. And the most expensive piece is the fork. And this is not even the real price because in my opinion we do need the mana regeneration for this version of the build. In other versions you might be able to go for the +2 spell at +2 extra projectiles, but in my personal opinion, the increased mana regeneration rate is the best to pick when you go for this exact build. I will link my POV within this comment in the commentary section of the video, and I will also link Dead Rabbit's POV because I got inspired by him. So without further ado, I would like to show you a map, how it looks like, and I will also give you some tips if you never worked with Expedition before. So Expedition is a mechanic where you do search for good spots. You can see I'm working on this one right now. I got this with 5 expeditions, so it's super important. You can see here 2 were already completed and 3 are still open. It's super important when you scout these rumors. Okay, sorry. So I'm back. So what I needed to check is how you actually pin things. How you do it is you take the Alt button and what you see is you get a little pin button here, a little needle. If you click it, then the rumors will stay while you can check what's happening here. So what you can do now is you can move around things in your inventory and see if anything happens. And right now we can see nothing happened. It changed the order, but we still see the same things. But now you can see that Warm but Risky also shows up. What that means is that this specific button has more than 3 rumors attached to it, and you will only be able to see it when you start moving your inventory around. It's a little bit scuffed, but it's what actually people are doing to scout. And what we can see here, okay, this would be actually a nice spot to continue because we will get 4 different expedition maps with this rumors. Bear in mind there are other rumors in place that do not give you actual expedition maps. They can also give you bosses. There is a cheat sheet for this. It looks like that. I will also link it in the description. What you can see here is the full list of the things that actually give you a map, but also the other rumors and what they are doing. The one thing that needs to be mentioned is the Fallen Stars rumor. It's very powerful. You do not need to run Aldor's Saga or anything to get it. And the Fallen Stars is the one unique island rumor that will give you an expedition map where you drop an Aldor's Saga guaranteed or a perfect flux if you like. If you ever get this, bear in mind you need to run it with the tablet that gives you multiple tries, so you can farm it twice and get double Aldur Saga out of it. Okay, so as said, if we want to go for such map, what we do is we take a map, and this is the next thing. The map has quite some stuff going on. It's not the hardest map in the game that I'm looking here at, because the more harder the maps are, the more harder it gets to clear the content, and also they get super expensive. So this version I'm running now is about 1 divine per map. I'm especially looking for increased monster effectiveness and also want some monster rarity and item rarity on the actual rows. And you do take 8 mod maps. This is an 8 mod map, if you can see. And I can give you a search as well for these kind of maps because it's actually tedious to roll them. So I reverted to actually just buying them off the market. This is again something that can be done with a proper filter search, and I can also give you such search in the link if you want. Let me see if I find it right now. It's not in my browser thingies at the moment. Ah, yeah, here it is. I already prepared it. Okay, so this would be the search that I'm taking. I make sure I get 8 mod. I'm making sure it's Waystone tier 4, and I make sure it has at least 40 monster effectiveness. Some people go for 60, but the maps will get way more expensive if you do that. So right now we're looking at 6 chaos, then we go for 60. This was not, I guess we need to take off the other ones then, because this is done with omens. Nope. Still not even existent. Okay. I guess it was because of the chaos orb filter. Nope. Okay. Now you can see already tripled in price, but I mean it is 50, I guess 60 is not possible. I will most likely cut this part out and do it again. So let me just do it again. Okay, so these maps that I'm running, they are also not normal maps. These maps, they are 8 mod maps, and they also make sure they have some monster effectiveness on it. They don't have the most monster effectiveness possible. The issue is if you go for 50 instead of 40, the maps get way more expensive. You'd pay like instead of 5 to 6 chaos 15. There is a possibility to set up a search to find these things. You go for 8 modifiers, and then you also go for the monster effectiveness here. I preloaded it to 50 to show you. It's now 15 chaos. If I go down to 40, you can see it goes down to 5 chaos, which is more reasonable. And I also did some filters because we are not curse immune. I don't like to get cursed with this build. You need the full tempo. And also I'm low on resistances. That's also why I don't like to get resistance reduced. Okay, and that's it for the setup. Despite the tablets we are running are +2 additional random monsters plus monster rarity. These are also expensive, cost like 14 div at the moment per pop. I'm running 2 of these together with the 8 mod map. This gives me like a 12 mod map, and I actually did not decide to go for a third one. I tested it. The third one actually makes it way more harder than the version that I'm rocking now. I stepped down to using increased effectiveness and increased monster rarity on the last one without the +2 because I was just dying sometimes when I take the full approach, and I think the divine like the drops you get, they are more valuable if you take the full setup, but it is not like you get double or something. It's about 10 to 20% more, but you risk dying, and this is something you don't want to, because if you die with such setup, the map is done. You can't return. You do not have revivals. Okay, so if I go in such map, let's do it. The first thing we need to do is check the runes. I have liquid verisium on my character. This is important because we make sure we reroll every rune we don't like. This rune is cool. We get Death Rune and Soul Rune right from the bat, and we get 2 divines. We want to proliferate Death Rune. Death Rune gives stronger monsters and ultimately gives you more loot. Same goes for Soul Rune. Soul Rune is a little bit tricky, but for the showcase I will take it. The next one we can see is, okay, we get also the Power Rune. So this is like really, really good. So we do not reroll, we want to proliferate these runes. And the most important proliferation rune we actually scouting for is Opulent Rune. But if I go with such runes from the start, I will always start the chain with these. And we are quite happy to be able to take the Opulent Rune as a third rune here. So we already got a good chain going. Now that we know that we have some nice proliferation runes running, what we do now is we start reloading these things in order to get something valuable. The more rune slots you get, the more waves and monsters spawn, the more basic ground loot you get. You are not able to change these. It will automatically choose one of these two, and in this case it chose the Medved Saga. I'm not able to take the Greater Rebel Orc. You can see it does not change. This is happening because I used the Liquid Verisium. So next is the same. We also reroll this one, and we get Bond Rune, which is also desirable. So we actually have a really nice chain for the showcase going. So now what I would do is I actually will try to get as much big runes as possible. I'm not much caring about the rewards anymore. It could be that I get a 10 remnant rune or something, or an Aldur Saga in one of the missing ones. If that would be the case, I would straight go for that. I would not risk losing it. Yeah, and now we got actually this is happening here. We get an Aldur Saga. So what we need to do is we need to take it. There's no way out. What that means is we need to completely revamp the plan. It's just there is a possibility to die. There are some mechanics in this whole thing you can't even counter. There are some bugged mosquitoes that do have mana drain on them, and with this build you are able to die when they show up and you are not running away in time. The same goes for some other scuffed stuff, so I have been dying with this build, not a lot, but it can happen. And if I know I can get 40 Divines plus from one rune, I will make sure I get it. So there is no way I am going with the chain that I was planning, which is unfortunate because it's a really nice chain. But okay, what can we do instead? If we know that this is something we need to have, we will actually ignore these runes and see if we still can connect them for. I mean, for this video, I will show you what happens when you do go for the full chain. Maybe we are able to clear the Aldous Saga, but I do not recommend this. I do not recommend this. You can die. If I die, it would be funny because you can see me wasting 40 Divine Orbs just for the video. But let's go for it. I just decided we can try. So we do not have a Oath Rune in the chain, as far as I saw it, so at least no proliferating Oath Rune, which is good news. You need to avoid Oath Rune. Oath Rune is your certain death. Oath Rune is bugged, Oath Rune is nasty, Oath Rune is nothing we wanna deal with. But we do not have Oath Rune in this chain, and I would actually actively ditch anything that has Oath Rune proliferating. So I mean, if it's 3 Greater Chaos, what you can do, or 3 Perfect Exalteds or 3 Perfect Chaos, what you can do is take it as the very last remnant to make sure you are not dying in the chain. If you die on the last encounter, okay, that's fine. I mean, then you don't get it, but you still you were able to do your chain, right? Okay, so the Headhunter is socketed. We need to make sure we get the Headhunter stacks online quite fast. This you can die in the beginning because you are trying to get the stacks up, but what you do is you just walk a little bit and spark your way through. You are not staying exactly at the rune because the monster waves spawn around it and you might be getting surrounded or trapped, which we don't want. And this is why we always move a little bit around the rune and just constantly attack and make sure we proc our cast on crit. You can see I already got 15 Headhunter buffs here, so we are ramping up and the damage goes online. I will stop talking as much because I need a little bit to concentrate. It's not an AFK build. You are not able to just mindlessly press one button. You need to make sure you're paying attention what's happening on the screen. If any mana siphoning mosquitoes show up, you need to be sure that you ditch them. You need to have keep an eye on your mana because this build is taking mana for life. If your mana goes to 0, you will die. So we make sure we don't produce that. We want that Aldous Saga now. Taking the rewards from the opulent drone. Now we have the opulent drone in the chain, opulent rune in the chain, and hopefully we get some nice rewards for it. Now we take 2 runes at once, just to show you how strong the build is. It should be possible to clear it out without problem. We get our Headhunter buffs running, 41 Headhunter buffs. So next rune is starting. Let's have a quick look at our damage. You can see my Spark tooltip sitting at 2.5 million now, and this is because of the Headhunter buffs, of course. So you and this is why we need the Headhunter. You need that amount of damage to instantly kill all these fuckers that's showing up here. These are nasty monsters. They can one-shot you if they get the chance to do it. I just was able to kill a Mana Siphon unit. You can see I got the Mana Siphon ring. Oh, and I was already dead almost. You saw that. I did not pay attention. I talked too much. Very, very brutal. that's why I said we do not want to do that with Aldo Saga in the chain. And we need to pay full attention as well. Okay, we got the big one done. Okay, there's no necessary. Okay, I need the area to take the tablet. That's valuable. Holy shit, we almost died. That's exactly what I did not want to show. I mean, as said, you need to really pay attention to not run into any mana siphoning minions. I think I did that at that part, and this is really, really dangerous. I was almost dead. The ward saved me. We do have a little bit of runic ward on this build, and it actually came in clutch. Okay, I think we got the Elder Saga nice. It's very good. Cool. So you can see this build is able to stand such shenanigans, but you need to make sure you are on your toes. It's not like an AFK, I can full bonk and do nothing and tank everything build. You need to make sure you are dodging the main dangerous parts of this. But if you do it right, you can see you are very, very strong, you nuke the screen and all goes well. And you get some nice extra loot because of all the things we have going on. We are at the very last rune. Yeah, and we got the logbook complete. So that was my showcase of this cast on crit Gemling, how it works when you go for expedition. Some extra information for expedition. I hope you liked it. I mean, I understand this is not a standard YouTube video. I did not any cuts. I mean, I think I do 3 cuts because I needed to stop the video 2 times for some reasons. But in the end, this was a free take. I hope you still liked it. I hope you were able to follow through. If you have any comments on it, I'm appreciating, and I hope to see you soon.